I guess maybe just to start things off, tell us what you're seeing on the ground there as it pertains to demand for the semiconductor space.
Yeah, I mean, since October, we're seeing about a 12 to 15% increase in terms of demand. And that's significant, clearly a good barometer going into NVIDIA next week. But I think it just shows these enterprise use cases are exploding. And that is really accelerating demand because no one wants to sort of lose their spot in line. And I think that's just more and more bullish for the AI revolution, the second, third, fourth derivatives. I mean, that's so far from our trip, very, very bullish and feeling really good going into NVIDIA next week.
Is NVIDIA still a top pick for you? Everything you're seeing there just reinforcing what you like?
I think it's a table pounder. I think it's going to be a $4 trillion and eventually $5 trillion market cap because there's only one red phone to call for these chips. It's the godfather of AI, Jensen NVIDIA. And what I'd also tell you, and we talk about in the note, from a DeepSeek perspective, 45, 50 enterprises, not one has changed plans post DeepSeek. I think it just shows this CapEx doubling down. That's what we're seeing across, not just big tech, but across enterprise.
Dan, there were some takes last week on this AI summit in Europe where some of the survey work being done had some constituents saying, yeah, we're curious, but we're not seeing outright value on these investments quite yet. Where do you think AI, how much of IT budgets does it make up and how much could it get to?
Yeah. I mean, Carl, I think that's why you look at names like Palantir, right? Kind of sort of the golden child in terms of use cases, monetization, as it's already playing out. We believe everything we're seeing, it's about 10% IT budgets, and in some cases, 15%. Now, look, there are some enterprise and, of course, places around the world that are not going down the AI path, of course. But they're going to have to delay their initiatives for, I'd say, 12, 18 months, because right now, demand's outstripping supply 15 to 1. And that's why I sit here and I think tech stocks are going to be up another 25% this year, despite tariffs, despite nervousness, worries about stretch valuation. I think Street is massively underestimating what demand looks like in this AI revolution, second, third, fourth derivative.
Dan Ives from Wedbush Securities predicted a stunning performance with Nvidia earnings long before they were put out, and also looked further into the future after everyone is reminded yet again why Nvidia is king. With artificial intelligence demand acting as the driving force, Nvidia is anticipated to deliver on its beat and raise special, captivating investors globally once again. But is that all for this story after the earnings? Or will there be more obstacles ahead? Dan Ives explores all. Welcome back everyone to Investocracy.
And so if demand is going to be that strong, and you just mentioned tariffs, I mean, do you think tariffs are somewhat of a non-issue, meaning you're just going to pay what you have to pay because you need these chips to do what you've planned to do?
Yeah, and Courtney, you're talking about with Elon before. I mean, I think this is all a poker game, right? And I think, it's very easy to get nervous in terms of first shots across the bow. I don't believe it's going to massively impact the chip and overall AI revolution. I think there's also going to be some gaps in terms of whether it's Apple, Tesla, potentially, some opportunities that they could ultimately not really even be impacted by some of the tariffs as this all plays out. But what we're seeing here in Asia, less nervousness about tariffs than maybe even 6 weeks ago. And that's bullish when you look at this relative to overall demand and what's going to really be a game of high-stakes poker between DC and Beijing.
Finally, Dan, you mentioned Apple. We're on the lookout for this newest member of the family announcement. Any clarity in your mind what we should expect?
Yeah, look, I think it's another product that's going to just fuel more and more of what I believe is just a broader, not just upgrade cycle, but Apple is going to continue to see this renaissance of growth. I think when you sort of look at the price point from an SE perspective, especially emerging markets, especially developing markets, I think India more and more is going to become a bigger market. This just shows Cupertino is not just going to play on the high end. They're going to focus on middle market. They're going to focus on rolling out Apple Intelligence. We think to China really soon with Alibaba as a partner. And that's why, look, haters will hate in Apple, but the first one to hit $4 trillion will be Apple, in our opinion, followed by Nvidia.
Viewers want to know, Dan, if your jackets are as popular on that side of the planet as they are on this side.
They are. I mean, they are. I could tell you across Asia, I think really, really bullish on the colors. And it's nice to see that on both sides.
I know you might be a Penn State fan, but that looks a little OSU Scarlet to me. Dan, thank you very much for joining us.
I give credit where credit's due. Congrats.
When investors, analysts, and tech enthusiasts alike were on the edge of their seats, bracing for what many predicted will be another spectacular show of financial acumen and technological prowess, Dan Ives was more confident and bullish about Nvidia than ever before. Front and center is Nvidia's innovative Blackwell architecture, which stands as a testament to the company's intelligence in navigating the intricate world of AI. According to Dan Ives, this architecture is not just a product. It's a pivotal element of what he deems the fourth industrial revolution, a grand narrative of progress that Nvidia is championing. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
Let's talk robotics and autonomous technology. You say in your talking points or your review of the speech, that alone represents another $1 trillion of incremental market opportunity that NVIDIA can now tap into over the coming years. How do you get to that number, and how do you derive the value you are for NVIDIA from it?
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, I think Jensen laid out the strategic vision for the coming years. When we look at robotics, autonomous, I mean, I believe ultimately those are going to be some of the biggest use cases of AI. And I think what you saw from NVIDIA last night is they're not just sort of going to be a provider. They're going to play a huge role in this sort of vision. And obviously, Tesla on the autonomous side continues to be front and center. I think this is the next step. I think this is a snapshot of the future. And you look at it incrementally. You go out the next few years, I think Street's underestimating growth by 25, 30%, which is why I think not just 4 trillion, you could be looking at a 5 trillion market cap.
Underestimating growth by 30%. What? So what is it? Is it robotics? What's being underestimated, so to speak, in terms of the growth for this company?
I think one, it's Blackwell, just overall from a demand perspective. We think 15-to-1 demand to supply in terms of what we see. I think when you look at robotics and autonomous, given the market opportunity, that could ultimately be 15, 20% of what I view as disruptive technology. I mean, that could be an incremental 20, 25% just to the top line over the next, call it 2-3 years. I think that to me was the sort of watershed moment last night. It's Jensen laying out NVIDIA. It's not just about Blackwell chips, the new oil gold. It's about where this is all going. And we believe autonomous and robotics, that's a huge part of the fourth industrial revolution.
Right. So what does a ChatGPT moment in robotics look like then, Dan? What does that mean?
I think physical AI. I mean, we've talked about from Robotaxi Day in October. I think we're going to be looking next 2-3 years. Robotics is not just going to be from CES. It's going to be real. And I think it's something that's going to play out in factories. It's going to play out in consumers and households. And I think a year from now, we start to go more advanced prototypes to something that's going to become a reality. And I think that's the key here, is that we are still in the early days of the AI revolution. And there's only really one player. I mean, it's NVIDIA's world. Everyone else is paying rent. That was a flex the muscles moment from The Godfather last night.
What about what I was just talking about, Dan, which is higher yields? And the fact that all those stocks are down today. I know you're excited about the fundamentals and the innovation here, but does it make you question valuations when we are seeing a rate move like this on some of those ideas?
Yeah. No, and that's the push and pull, and I get it. But my view, Sarah, is that we have $2 trillion of AI capex next 3 years. And even when you look at tech, look at Microsoft just going to 80, from 44, basically doubling their capex. You look at numbers, you could say valuation, but I think it goes back to, I think earnings and ultimately top line growth for tech is being massively underestimated into the next year or two. And that's where the growth is. This revolution is not going to be stopped in a 10, 20 bit move on the 10 year.
The numbers speak volumes. With revenue growth beating market expectations once again and shutting down the bears, Nvidia continues to outshine its own past performances. This victory isn't merely serendipitous, but a result of strategic investments and expansions in AI capital expenditure, aligning perfectly with technology's current trajectory towards smarter, more efficient solutions. Nvidia's stock has already rebounded impressively by 20% from its January slump, and the signs suggest that this upward trajectory is only the beginning. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Fire, because I think this is a tech market that's going to be on fire, not just for going into the end of the year this week, but what I believe right now, this AI revolution, it's hitting its next phase. And I think this is just still the start of a fourth industrial revolution.
All right, still the start, but you always say it's 9 o'clock. It's got to be 9:30.
No, I actually said it's 9:30 to 10 p.m. in the AI party. That goes to 4 a.m.
All right, so you have a number of upgrades in the space, specifically in the software space when it comes to AI. One of them is Snowflake. The other one's actually Elastic. We've been fortunate enough to have the CEO on the show. Kind of a broad-based play. They do cloud, they do security as well. Why these two names?
Look, I think, and we've talked about a lot here on the show, now the second derivative, the software piece of AI is here. I think in 2025, that's going to be the key. You look at Elastic, Snowflake, names like MongoDB, they're the ones now that follow names like Palantir in terms of the software, the use cases. I believe the software AI age is now here. 2025, that's going to be front and center. That's why we upgrade those names.
The narrative around Nvidia is not merely about its current achievements, but about the vast, untapped potential it holds. As the company stands tall after revealing yet another quarterly triumph, the message is clear. Nvidia's stock is more than just a numbers game, it's an opportunity. But what do you think about the Nvidia earnings? Share your thoughts. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.